everyone, I'm Adam Dede, and welcome to Neurojournal Club. If you like these videos, please go ahead and subscribe, click the thumbs up down on the screen there, and if you're feeling it, click on the Patreon link down below to support me. Thanks. So today we're going to ask the question, what does it feel like to meditate? What is the phenomenology? So to do that, it's pretty simple. We're just going to ask people, what does it feel like when they're meditating? And today we're going to be looking at a study from Kornfield, 1977. So over 100 participants did a 2-week intensive meditation course as part of this study, and 63 participants did a 3-month intensive course. And all of them were doing Vipassana meditation. So the instructions that these participants were given were really simple. Initially, for the first few days of their intensive courses, they were just told to focus on their breath, the sensation of breath entering and leaving the nostrils. And then after a few days of doing that, they were told to broaden their focus of attention and generally scan for sensations of the body from moment to moment without having any kind of a judgment or attachment to those sensations, but just asking themselves, what is it that my body is feeling right now? Participants during these intensive courses would meditate for on the order of 10 hours per day. Participants filled out over 1,000 questionnaires. They filled these questionnaires out about every 2 or 3 days. There were some key questions on these questionnaires. So, how much sleep or food are you taking in? What changes have you noticed with your perception, your concentration, and your mindfulness? Is that progressing, regressing? How does that feel? And then, what is your predominant experience? So, what is meditating like for you today? And then we're going to take a look at what are some of the common responses that people gave to get a sense of what was this meditation experience like. So in terms of spontaneous movement, a lot of people reported spontaneous movement. Some quotes here: much twitching, anus flapping like wings, jerking, weird faces, violent shakes, loosening, tension release, body pulls to the left. Okay. There were also a lot of altered body image. So here, one participant said that they felt their body divided in half, or lost perception of the hands, floating, not touching the cushion, head detached. So really, a lot of this you can think about, it's pretty out there, but it's also kind of similarly out there across a large number of observations. Then Kornfield also took a look at visual perception with the eyes open, and I shouldn't say he took a look at it, it's more this is what participants happened to report. That even with their eyes open, they felt that their vision improved greatly. It was like seeing through special glasses, so clear. Colors brighter. Vibrations in the air. And then with the eyes closed, participants described camera-like flashes of light. Cloudy, then white. Great brightness. Flashes of light. The participants also described extreme mood swings as a common phenomenon experienced during meditation. So kind of a heavy sadness, one participant described. Very up and down, sharp changes in emotion. Strong hate, deep-rooted. Also fear and tension, always changing. Boredom, tears, laughter. Anger, violence, sex, and sleep. So pretty all over the place in terms of the types of moods that people are experiencing while they're meditating. And then rapture and bliss. And this one's probably the closest to what we think about in general when you just imagine what you think meditation might be. So experienced a few moments of what I call pure love, only glimpsed, but it was such bliss. Very blissful when concentration is good. Luminous mind. No other bliss compares to this. So what conclusions can we draw from this? So one thing that was really striking, and I gave you only a small subset of the quotations that Kornfield provided in his paper, but one thing that you can kind of get a sense for here is that everyone kind of experienced a similar thing. Yes, it's pretty out there. I mean, people are talking about feelings of levitation and losing senses in particular limbs and massive mood swings. But everyone's experiencing really out there sensations. Everyone's experiencing these really massive mood swings. So there is some consistency to it. Another thing that's really important to think about here is that while there is consistency across people, there is not consistency moment to moment. Everything seems to change. So let's take a look at what conclusions Kornfield drew from these data. So meditation is not a state, and what he means by that is that meditation is not some stable thing. Meditation is a technique that results in all kinds of different mental states. Mindfulness does not equal relaxation. So I think a lot of people assume that meditation is fundamentally a relaxation exercise. Actually, when I've gone and done Vipassana courses, I've often had people in my life say, oh, good for you, have a relaxing time at that meditation course. But it's really not a relaxing thing. And I think that some of these quotes that Kornfield has found really hammer that home, the fact that people are experiencing these really distressing emotional states, and they're also experiencing these really out there physical states. So hallucinations are common. So people are experiencing out-of-body, people are having out-of-body experiences, people are seeing bright lights flash, people are sometimes reporting seeing images of gods. Hallucinations are a common experience during meditation. Emotions are common, people having all kinds of mood swings. Movement is common, so people experience twitching, some people experience shaking, some people experience swaying. Movement happens. It's not just stoic stillness. Pain is common, so one thing that I didn't pull any quotes for this, but was quite common in Kornfield's report, was that people reported having quite a bit of pain, and I can tell you from my own experience that pain is definitely a part of meditation, especially when you're talking about meditating for 10 hours a day for multiple days in a row. The body gets painful being stuck in a single position like that. Rapture from concentration. So I think this is a part of the meditation experience that people who don't meditate might have expected to see there. The kind of people sitting there and, oh, wonderful, having bliss and just rapture flowing across them. Now that does seem to happen, but in Kornfield's data, he found it seemed only to happen with the participants who were meditating in the 3-month course, not so much in the 10-day course. And he also found that it only happened when participants had moments of intense concentration preceding the rapture. So something about concentrating the mind leads to this rapture experience. And there's non-linear progress. So the same participant that has that rapture experience on one day might have a horribly painful emotional mood swing on the next day. There's not just a continuous forward motion. And I think that's something that the meditation literature largely misses, because you usually see these things where people look at before meditation, after meditation, or measuring some kind of cognitive measurement as a function of the amount of meditation, but there's kind of an implicit assumption of linearity there. And if we really want to see the way that meditation practice progresses and the way that it shapes the brain and the mind, what we're going to have to do is take a look at multiple time points and be able to see that nonlinear trajectory. Concentration and altered perception go away. So Kornfield followed up with a lot of these participants after they had left the course, gone back to their normal lives, and what he found was that the concentration and the altered perception didn't last. So it's only in the context of meditating for 10 hours a day that people are having these hallucinogenic experiences, and it's also only in that context that people are able to get that extreme concentration, that single-mindedness that leads to the rapture experience. That said, though, the non-reactivity and the change adaptation seem to last. When you're experiencing this pain, when you're experiencing these rapid mood swings, when you're experiencing hallucinations, over time you just learn to sit with it when you're doing one of these long courses. And that creates this deep non-reactivity and adaptation to change. And those things seem to be character traits that in Kornfield's data set seem to persist, even though the extreme concentration and the altered perception seem to go away. And then food and sleep reduce. So that's something that's kind of crazy. One way that Kornfield measured this, he just asked the kitchen at the retreat center, hey, how much food are you putting out? And what he found was that in the 3-month course, by about 4 weeks in, the kitchen was putting out about a third less food than they had been at the beginning of the course. And this wasn't because they were denying the course participants food. This was just because the course participants simply weren't eating it. He also found that in interviewing the participants through the duration of these courses, particularly in the 3-month course, he found that people were sleeping as much as 2 hours less per night, even though they had the exact same amount of time allotted for sleep, they just weren't sleeping. So this may be, Kornfield gives a hand wave for this and just kind of says this may be because there are less energy demands on the body and on the brain when the brain becomes concentrated, becomes stable. That's something that would be super interesting to try and follow up by looking at the physiology and seeing, do you actually use less energy when you get into a concentrated state? Now, one thing that's kind of too bad when thinking about all this is it seems like intense practice is needed. So Kornfield took a look at a group of participants who were staying in residence at a Buddhist school, listening to the same meditation instructions and Buddhist philosophical talks that the main participants were listening to, and they were also meditating themselves for 2 hours every day. Now, 2 hours of meditation a day, that's quite a lot of meditation. But these participants didn't show the food and sleep reduction. They didn't show the aberrant perceptions, the hallucinations. They didn't experience the violent mood swings. They didn't experience the rapture. So something about the intense practice environment of meditating for 10 hours every day for an extended period of time seems to actually be a necessary prerequisite for reaching some of these meditative states. So that's the end of the video for today. Hopefully you learned something about meditation and what does it actually feel like to meditate. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe and click the link below to support me on Patreon. That's the video for today. Bye.